Welcome to Shining Bright, the FarmHER radio show all about women doing great things. Women who are making the ordinary extraordinary. Women following their passion, taking action, and making a difference for themselves and others. Join me, Margie, as your host on Shining Bright by FarmHER. Hello and welcome to Shining Bright, the FarmHER show. I am excited to be here with everybody from the Farm Progress Show. We are in Boone, Iowa today, and we've got our FarmHER trailer here. We're up here with Nationwide in their booth, and we're talking to people about all of the cool things that we get to do with FarmHER. And here in this first segment, I have Sarah Miller from Mahindra USA. Sarah, welcome.
Thank you, Margie. I'm excited to be here with you.
Yeah, I'm excited. So you are, tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do at Mahindra.
Yes, so I'm Assistant Director of Marketing at Mahindra USA. So I oversee a lot of the marketing that we do here in the U.S. and Canada. So I've been with them just for a few months, but before that, have been in agriculture my entire life. So grew up on a farm here in Iowa, so been around ag my whole life.
Yeah. Well, I was introduced to Mahindra a couple years ago. We're headed into season 3 of our TV show. It starts just next week, early September. And Mahindra has been a great partner for us on the show for all of the seasons so far. And I know that Mahindra has a great commitment to women in agriculture. So I was hoping you could tell us a little bit about what you do and how some of those things play out in the ag community. Yeah,
so we're excited to be a part of the show. We're excited to be a sponsor again for season 3. We definitely support what you do here for women in agriculture. So at Mahindra, we feel that it's very important to make sure that we have a diversity across the workforce, of course, in a lot of ways, but part of that is encouraging women to be involved in agriculture. We do that through a variety of ways. One of our longest standing partnerships is with FFA, National FFA. We've been providing scholarships for women, young women, going into agriculture studies in college for more than 10 years through the National FFA. So we've really had a strong commitment to women in ag, for a long time.
Yeah. How can people find out, if there's a young woman out there listening, how can she find out how to apply for your scholarship? I always tell, there's a lot of great scholarships out there, but it takes someone applying for them and putting themselves out there, you know, and I always am pushing young women, like, go apply for these because school is expensive, but it's important. So how do they find out about it?
Yeah, so they can go through their local FFA chapter. They should have information through their local FFA advisor. And then also on our website as well, we have information about our scholarships and other promotions that we have going on for women in ag and all other aspects of agriculture.
Awesome. And so you guys get involved also with like the American Agri Women group. You're just, I feel like everywhere. Whenever I go to women in ag events, you guys pop up. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I've attended the event for the last couple of years. So National Agribusiness event that they host. So we definitely encourage participation across our organization and as many organizations and other events that we can attend across our organization throughout all levels of the organization, both men and women. It's important for us to encourage continued development and growth in our careers. So we have lots of women that attend that. Also, NAMA has different things as well, and just being involved with local community events as well.
Yeah, that definitely matters. So what is Mahindra doing out here at the Farm Progress Show? Can people climb up on a tractor and check one out? Yep. One thing I remember, our first Farm Progress Show with FarmHER a couple of years ago, I went into the Mahindra booth, and that was the first time I think I had a chance to sit on one of the UTVs and had the squishiest, softest seat.
Yeah,
I still always tell people about that. I'm like, if you want comfort seats,
yes, our seats on our tractors and retrievers are top of the line. We just introduced our M Comfort seats on our tractors about a year ago, and those have been very popular with our buyers. Our retriever has one of the best seats as well in the industry. So we have everything from our 26 horsepower tractors on our Emax 26 up to our largest tractor, which is 125 horsepower with our 9125 at the booth here, and several retrievers as well, which is our new UTV line that we launched last year.
Okay. Fun. I will have to pop over there and check it out and climb around on some of the equipment because that's always a good time. That's one of the best things I think about this show is, you can see everything out here. And
We got a little sunshine here today. No rain today. It was a deluge up here yesterday of rain. I heard. I wasn't here.
It was. We had lots of people wanting to jump on the retrievers to get through, the
bet
mud.
You did, because I heard a lot of stories about people getting stuck here in all of the super mud that we have. Well, Sarah, this has been awesome. Thank you for joining us here for this first segment.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for listening in to Shining Bright by FarmHER. Be sure to come on over and join our FarmHER journey. You can check out the events tab on our website to see where the FarmHER will be next, from our Grow events for young women that take place around the country to other events like the FFA National Convention or Commodity Classic. We'd love to see you there. So stay tuned for what's coming up on Shining Bright, where we will be talking about Grain Bin Saftey with our partners nationwide here at the Farm Progress Show. And we are back here on Shining Bright. I am joined here with Krista Soda, who I feel like, Krista, I'm going to call you part of our FarmHER today because we cross paths a lot.
Yes.
So you are with Nationwide, and tell me about what your role is at Nationwide, first off.
You bet. I have a lot of different roles, wear a lot of different hats, I guess, but really what it is a lot of our associations that we have, our partnerships like with FarmHER. I work on our intern program, so a lot of college recruiting and that type of thing. We are partners with the AFA and with Manners, so we've got a lot of different places that we have our name in, and trying to just make sure that everyone knows that there are ag careers in the insurance industry, which isn't always something people think about when they're getting their degrees.
Near and dear to my heart. I spent 11 years working in ag insurance before FarmHER, so I agree with you. It's not something that's always visible out there. It's more something that you I mean, speaking for myself, you stumble into.
Right. Oh, I always say that. Who actually says, oh, I'm going to go into insurance? I mean, there are people that do in their insurance degrees, but I would say the vast majority of people in the insurance industry never really planned that out. And I've been in it for over 20 years.
Yeah. Time flies before you know it, right? And once you're in, I always was like, once you're in, you're in.
Right.
Like, this is the way insurance goes. But, and real quick, I know I want to talk about what you guys are doing here at the Farm Progress Show in a minute, but I also want to, also everybody, just FYI, if you hear it, we are not on a military base here at the Farm Progress Show, which is where we're doing this show from live. We have some helicopters flying over our tent here. So welcome to the Farm Progress Show.
It's a little ambiance for us.
I just want to hear a little bit. You have something unique that you've been a part of at Nationwide in your Women in Ag group.
Absolutely.
And, we always talk about people finding their journey or jumping into something that's important with them. And I know you just spoke at our I Am FarmHER conference a little bit about this. Could you share with us a little bit about how that group came about, what it does for employees within your company? Because I think it's such an important thing.
Absolutely. So at Nationwide, we have these associate resource groups and a lot of different types of things where there's common interest. And we decided after attending a Women in Ag Summit that, hey, this is something that we've got a lot of men and women who are passionate about ag. And is it something that we could kind of get started and have some educational events? So we kind of had a group of about, 8 or 9 of us who thought, okay, let's kind of plan out a calendar and see what happens. One of our first guest speakers was you, of course.
Thank you.
And a great thing has blossomed from that. And really, that's what we've been doing. We have something. It might be that it's just a gathering at a lunch. It doesn't have to be just women, as I indicated. And now what the really exciting thing is we've actually sprouted out into central Iowa. And so we have a lot of our employers that are in the metro area and up into the Ames area who are joining. And so quarterly, we're doing something with that group. And it's just sharing education on ag topics, or maybe we were at the food bank here recently and did a volunteer event. So a lot of different options there. Associates love it. They don't have to work for the ag side of Nationwide. It can be anyone, and people are always saying, how do I get more involved? And we love it. And then we get to help with cool things like the state fair and help FarmHER.
Yeah.
And that's always a big hit. And just different things like that where we can show the importance of women in the agribusiness industry and in the insurance industry.
And what do you think the impact has been on the women? Some of the women, I'm sure somebody in that group has had some major growth that's come out of it, because I think that these things spread like that.
Absolutely. It's a development thing as well, for sure. And it falls under our all women's group, which concentrates a little more on the development portion of it. But we have people who have jumped onto the committee who maybe weren't involved in a lot of stuff in the past, and who have basically taken over the committee now. And I don't have to do nearly the amount of work that I used to have to do.
Everybody.
Yeah, it's been great. And just people who, when I'm going to Iowa State for recruiting, they're raising their hands saying, hey, I want to help with that. And where maybe in the past they wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, and I think that matters so much. I mean, when you feel like, when you are a part of something like that, it does help you so much. I mean, we always say that with FarmHER.
Yes.
You know, like when you're with your people, it matters.
Your squad.
Yeah,
Squad up.
It helps. So let's talk about what we are. We've got our trailer out here, our big FarmHER trailer.
Absolutely.
We're telling people about our TV show, and we're obviously doing a radio show here, and telling people about FarmHER. And you guys invited us to be a part of this booth. Can you tell me a little bit about what you guys are doing and why you're up here?
Absolutely. Well, obviously, Farm Progress Show, our it's all our customers.
Yeah.
So ag is our customer for nationwide agribusiness. And what we really wanted to enhance this year was the safety aspect, because as an insurance company, obviously, we insure people for when bad things happen. And we don't want those bad things to happen. And, a lot of weather events and that type of thing. But one thing that has really been on the rise especially the last few years, it seems like, and maybe that's because there's more media coverage, but it's grain bin safety accidents. And we have a program that we started about 5 years ago where we are able to have people nominate volunteer fire departments. And then they, through a nomination process, and we have sponsors, we're able to provide them with a grain tube, a rescue tube. And not only that, but then there is training that's involved with that as well. So that's one of the things that we wanted to come up here for, is to talk to people, because at the Farm Progress Show, everybody's here to see what all the latest, fanciest equipment is and everything, which is really very cool. Yeah. And they like seeing what this is and learning more about it, because obviously our goal is not to lose any more lives in grain bin safety, grain bin accidents.
Yeah, whenever and inevitably there are those, I see those articles, or I hear about people who've been impacted. Mm-hmm. And I think with anything farm safety related, because I know that you guys do, you share a lot of farm safety information. Yes. You share it through our television show.
Right.
I mean, there's many ways that you guys do that, but keeping it in front of people, because when it's your everyday, it's so easy to just put this aside. You know, I don't need to worry about this. I don't need to put this piece of equipment on or whatever that is, but keeping it in front of people matters.
Right. And we have one of the things, so when I'm doing my recruiting, a lot of times ag students are like, what would be something I could do there? Well, we have agronomists on staff. We have engineers on staff. We have nurse case managers on staff. So we need everybody, because when that claim does happen, we need those type of people, but we also need them from the risk management side. And that's something near and dear to your heart, obviously.
Yeah.
And so when we are able to give our customers or people who aren't customers yet some advice on what they would need to do to change, we call it advocacy instead of advocacy.
Yeah.
We're wanting people to be safe in whatever it is they do, and so we have all of that expertise on staff, and our risk management is second to none, to be honest.
Yeah, it is near and dear to my heart. I mean, my title when I left my role, and I worked mostly in crop insurance,
right?
But I was a risk manager, and that meant something a little bit different in that world that I was in then. But I mean, I meet people all of the time, and unfortunately, I feel like sometimes I hear some of the more dramatic stories because they bubble up to the surface. But farming is dangerous work. It's not easy work, and it can be tiring, and you don't get breaks. It's 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and so it is so near and dear to my heart to keep this in front of people. So kudos to you guys for doing that. Yeah. It's a good thing, and it matters. And I see all of these families with little kids walking around out here, right? And I hope they get to stop and take a peek at it, because
hopefully it's not. Zero entry is what we would like to have happen, but we know that's not what happens. So whatever we can do to arm people with the education to make good decisions.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I have to tell you, we appreciate all of the support that Nationwide gives us. Ever since I spoke at one of your early on meetings, we get the chance to travel with you to our Grow events, our I Am FarmHER event. So it's been a really fun partnership, and one that matters to us. So thank you so much for for being here. And thanks to all of you who are listening here on Shining Bright by FarmHER. Our show is all about everyday women who are doing amazing things, women who make the ordinary extraordinary. Be sure to join me every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern and Saturday at noon Eastern for Shining Bright on Rural Radio 147 and the SiriusXM app. Welcome back to Shining Bright by FarmHER. As I've mentioned, we are here at the Farm Progress Show, and our FarmHER trailer, you can't miss it. There's a huge sign that always stops me because there's a big picture of me, which is kind of weird to me. But our big FarmHER sign and our trailers out here, and we are in the nationwide booth. And I am joined now by Jade Rodemeyer. Did I get that right?
That's correct.
Awesome. Score. So Jade, you tell me about what your role is at Nationwide, and then we'll jump into some of the things that you're doing here.
Sounds good. I'm a virtual farm sales manager for Nationwide Agribusiness, focusing on central United States. Territory from the Dakotas over to Michigan and down, and out there supporting our local agents with any of their farm needs in order to try to go out there and sell farm and sell more for us. So
cool. So out here, I've seen you in this getup a little bit earlier, so I'm going to ask you to explain to me. There's a tube out here too. Can you explain to me about the grain bin tube, what it does, how it works, and why you had that harness on earlier?
So through grainbinsafetyweek.com, we have a Nominate Your Fire Department contest that runs from January through the end of April every year. Through corporate sponsors, agencies that help sponsor, we raise money in order to award these tubes back out to the rural fire departments, a way for us to give back to our local communities, try to prepare them for what we hope never happens, but a farmer or a child or somebody comes engulfed in grain, to not only reward them with the equipment that's needed, but also probably more importantly, the training. So right. We give part of the Nominate Your Fire Department a grain rescue tube developed by the Great Wall. It's a 6-piece tube that assembles around a victim inside of a grain building or a grain facility. And also a farm auger that we show that can be additionally purchased to remove grain from that. To
pull the grain up and out to get it away from the person.
Yep, to relieve that person who's been engulfed inside that tube.
So the tube is something, if a person has already fallen in, then they can build that wall around them to try to get that out and away from them. I'm looking at it right now, and I'm trying to describe it because I've heard about these, but I've never actually seen one before. And what is the harness that you had on? How does that work with it?
Yep, so as far as rescuers go, and even for farmers locally, they should all have harnesses. When they go enter into a grain bin, it's usually due to unconditioned grain. If grain's flowing, grain's kept to proper temperatures, moisture levels, grain flows and the farmer never has to go in. So the reason that the farmers have to go in,
clear out something.
They have to clear something. Okay. Something's stuck, the sump's not working, grain's not flowing properly, and that's when farmers and or employees of even corporate grain facilities have to then enter those grain bins. So the harnesses is just a piece where you as a worker or an employee can go in and be tied off. So if something were to happen negatively, you can't hopefully go down. And so from a rescue perspective, those rescuing that victim should have harnesses, be tied off to a point, whether that's a fire truck in many rescue situations, the grain bin, or whatever that case may be. They would wear those harnesses to protect their lives as well. So
yeah. Do you have any? So do you know how many you've given out to this point?
Yep. Since 2014, we have awarded 77 tubes in 23 or 24 states.
Okay.
So,
and tell me again the process about how people can apply to get one, because this is a great thing for rural
communities. If you go to grainbinsafetyweek.com, there's a tab that you can go out there and nominate your local fire department. It runs through January 1st through April 30th for 2019.
Okay.
And nominate your local fire department. Anybody out there, whether you're a farmer, you're an employee of a corporate facility, whatever the case may be, or the fire departments themselves, if you're listening. Nominate your fire department if you do not have a tube and see what happens. We had over 400 nominations this last year. So for 2018, we awarded 29 tubes through the generosity of agency partners and corporate donors that helped us raise $100,000. and be able to award 29 tubes this year. So.
And is it just like draw names out of a hat of who gets them,
Yep.
or is it need-based? Or
Yep, it's just a random drawing contest that they put them in, and we pull them out. So, yep, absolutely.
Very cool. Do you ever hear stories that come back to you about how these have helped in the local communities? If you do have a story, can you share that?
Yes, absolutely. So since 2014, since this program started, we've awarded 77 tubes. 3 of them have already helped save lives. One in Kansas, one in Glenville, Minnesota, which isn't too far from where we are here in Boone, Iowa.
Yeah.
And then 4 weeks ago, one in Berlin, Pennsylvania. So that helps fuel us from a committee standpoint.
Yeah.
It's making a difference. And we want to make sure we continue to raise money for this program. It's in conjunction with NECAS. The National Education Center for Agricultural Safety.
Okay.
They do the training piece when we go out and award these tubes.
Yeah.
And just continue to spread awareness, training, safety, and those things as a results from our efforts. So.
Yeah. Is there NECAS? Is that another resource where people could read about things or learn about safety on their farms?
Yes. So that's a college-based organization. They do tractor rollover, anhydrous ammonia leaks, confinement. A number of different safety training and actual trailers that they can go out to different organizations, departments, and do live training with folks. So absolutely.
Krista, who was on earlier, was telling me that you have people who go through like a demonstration with this. Have you ever gone through a demonstration with one of these tubes?
Yes, we were actually in St. Ansgar earlier this week. They were one of our winners this year.
Okay.
So yes, we go actually as part of the award. The fire department gets an hour classroom style training.
Okay.
Tells them the hazards, the things they need to do, the number of people they need on site, how to do the rescue properly, and then the second hour, if not 2 hours, we do live demonstrations with a trailer where we actually will sink somebody
in the grain.
It's all under a simulation, so they can only go so far, those type of things, but allows the fire hands-on experience to get in, put the tube in place, remove the grain, and so forth. And what's also is cool on the backside, if the department has sheet metal available for grain bin, they actually show them how to do the proper V-cuts. Say you got to get more grain out in order to
let
get
the grain
victim,
spill out.
say the victim's completely engulfed in it. And then the proper ways to do that and so forth. So it's invaluable training for those fire departments. So.
And I think you mentioned this before, but the training is probably every bit as important as having the
probably even more important.
Yeah.
Not knowing what to do with the tube, you could probably injure the victim. But having the proper training and the education around it is very important, because you don't need the while fancy and serves a lot of purposes. If you didn't have a tube, I've heard plywood. I mean, there's different ways to make something to get grain stopped from around your victim.
Okay.
But you can't just hook them by a harness. I mean, there's hundreds, 300, 600 pounds of pressure to pull somebody out of grain that's, hips down.
Yeah, you think it should just be easy,
just hook
right?
them to a rope and pull them out.
It seems like it would be easy. I mean,
Exactly.
I agree. It's like the idea of, if you drive your car into a lake, it should be easy to get out, but it's not always like that. So, or
Absolutely.
probably most often not like that. But that training for those fire departments is invaluable, I'm sure. So, what a cool thing.
Yes,
I mean,
we're excited about it. I grew up on a family farm in northern Iowa. Nephews now, climbing around, and it's an awareness thing. There's things out there these days with agritourism, these corn boxes. We're almost teaching kids the wrong thing. They think those corn boxes are fun.
My kids, when you go to like a pumpkin patch or whatever, they have them.
So what's to stop a kid going on a farm they aren't familiar with to jump in a gravity wagon or a semi-trailer?
You're right.
We got to kind of reverse things a little bit from a training aspect. So, and show them that it's dangerous, and they got to be aware of those things. So.
Well, we have just a few, just short time left here. Can you tell me real quick again what that website was where people can go? And anybody, I want to reiterate, anybody can sign up.
If you go to www.grainbinsafetyweek.com, there's a number of tools, articles, and materials, and you can nominate your local fire department there as well. So
awesome. Well, thank you for having us here to be a part of this very important booth here.
Glad to have you.
And thank you, everybody, for joining us on Shining Bright by FarmHER. Tune in every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern and Saturday at noon Eastern on Rural Radio 147 and the SiriusXM app. Welcome back to Shining Bright, the FarmHER radio show. And I am super excited to be joined by Serena Woodard. And Serena, you are from Oklahoma, right?
Yes, you follow Oklahoma specifically.
Okay. You follow Oklahoma.
Yes.
Okay. At first I was like, it almost sounds like I follow Oklahoma. You follow Oklahoma. Okay. So are you from an ag background? Did you grow up on a farm? Tell me a little bit about yourself.
I actually didn't grow up on a farm. I didn't become involved with the ag industry until 7th grade. I have been involved with 4-H since the age of 5. In Oklahoma, we have a clover bud project where you can go into it and kind of learn what you like and what you don't like. And my sister was in it at that time, so that's the only reason I joined. My parents were never in 4-H, and my sister, she was more on the safety side, on the cooking side, that sort of thing. So taking a leap of faith to show a boar goat in 7th grade, that was very out of the ordinary for someone in my family, yeah. But as I just said, we describe it as a leap of faith. And since I did that, it just went off with my career.
Yeah. Well, I love watching kids as they grow up through 4-H or FFA, those organizations that put you out there and caring for another animal and going through the showing process. I was in 4-H when I grew up, and my kids are in Clover Kids right now here in Iowa, and one just went into 4-H. So it's such a great program. So that's very cool. So, I know you just got done with another panel where you were talking about being the next generation of ag. So you have been a part of 4-H, and what grade are you going into?
I'll be a senior.
You'll be a senior. Okay. So, what does being the next generation of ag mean to you? I mean, that's a big, wide open, world out here, right? So what does that mean to you?
Ag is very broad. We are not just farmers and ranchers. We have so many different outlooks in the ag industry. So being the next generation, those are very big shoes to fill. Farmers are in charge of the food for our population, and estimated, we're supposed to be over 10 billion people very, very soon. So just trying to find new ways, new technological advances on how we are going to care for all of those people and how we're going to have enough land to do everything we need to do, along with places for the rest of the population to live. So in my own words, what it's like to be the next generation is just trying to find little loopholes on what we can do to help make this a better world.
That's true. I mean, because that's what it's all about, is figuring out what that means as we go forward, right? I mean, it's always changing and it's always different, and it means different things to different people for sure. So you are the winner of the 2018 Youth in Action Agricultural Pillar Award. So tell me about that and how that came about.
Yes, so I teach classes. I call them Woodard's Workshops, and these workshops are taught to youth between the ages of 3 and 18, and I teach them a very basic general line ag lesson. I sometimes teach about gardening, hydroponics, different variations of agri-science, and also like different species of animals, just basic, broad, anything you can think of.
Yeah. Introduction to agriculture for kids who may not be involved in agriculture.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And then through that, I then teach them a craft, and it usually goes along with the topic that I teach. And if they're in 4-H, they can enter that in their craft contest or their county fair. And if they're not, hopefully it will inspire them to join. And if not, at least they have a memory from the lesson. And through that service project that I have, I decided to apply for 4-H's Youth in Action. We have 2 past winners from my county in Oklahoma, and they are both role models of mine. So seeing them win it really just inspired me to push myself out there. And then I went through the application process. I had to make a short video talking about my service project. And then I also had to have an interview. And so after all those steps, I was chosen as the Ag Pillar winner. And I can say that Youth in Action has truly been a blessing. It has been one of the best experiences 4-H has offered me by far. It has allowed me to travel to different states, even coming here to the Farm Progress Show. Just so many things have come out of this experience, and I'm grateful.
So being here at the Farm Progress Show, what are some of the cool things that you've seen so far? I haven't ventured outside of this little lot right here where our trailer is yet. I will get a chance to hopefully at some point here. But what are some of the neat things that you've seen here in Iowa?
We haven't been able to venture a lot. As I said, we were a little bit busier this morning over in the Bayer tent, and I will say that it was really cool to be over there. I had my panel going on, so I was able to talk to farmers and financial aid people and just get a little look on how they see the ag industry compared to me being a youth and learning what they've been doing for generations. But there is just so much here for anybody who wants to be in the ag industry. You can find a booth.
Yeah, there is something for anybody. I keep seeing these little kids come through with like butterfly wings on. There's helicopter rides going over us, as you can hear. I said earlier, we aren't on an Army base. We are at the Farm Progress Show recording this, but there's a definite helicopter presence here. So you're going into your senior year then. What's going to be next for you? I mean, you've done so many cool things already. It's set a really cool stage.
Yeah. I am definitely going to attend college. My goal is to go to Oklahoma State University. That is our land-grant university there. And I want to start at a smaller college to get my bachelor's first, but then I want to go on there. That is my end goal. I plan to go into ag communications or some sort of journalism, but that's about as detailed as I can give you right now. My options are still completely open, but I've been stuck on that path for quite some time. So, just through 4-H, I've learned that I love talking to people. I love reporting and hearing other people's stories. And I feel through the ag industry as well as just journalism, I would be able to do all of the things I love.
Yeah, one of my favorite things as a parent, look, one of those butterflies is in our tent right now. One of my favorite things as a parent about 4-H and looking back for myself too is it pushes you outside of your comfort zone. It makes my 5-year-old last year had to stand up in Clover Kids and give a talk in front of his group about they have it just a couple minutes, but it puts you up there. So I'm sure that's led down that communications path for you.
Yeah. I've been actually doing speeches in 4-H a long time. That's actually the very first thing I ever did. In Oklahoma, whenever I was the age of 5, I entered the speech contest, and Clover Buds, we don't compete against each other. Everyone just gets a participation thing until you're old enough to compete. But my first speech was over different types of ballet moves because I started my career in performing arts, which is kind of funny because now I'm in the ag project area. So a really big transition, but yeah, communication is key.
Very cool. So you've had this super successful run so far, and you're just getting started. What do you think it is about you, or something about what you've learned or carried with you early on, that's been such a key to your success as a young woman?
I would say that everybody has a success in them. It's just the people who are able to get it out, and not necessarily you being able to push it out of yourself, but the backbone and the support system that everyone has. I am so fortunate and blessed with everybody I have. With my county 4-H team, I have a full staff of educators who are always pushing me to be my best. I have 2 loving parents, I have grandparents, and my older sister, she's always pushing me. We joked whenever I first joined 4-H, I said, my goal is to beat you at everything. And it's really funny because after I won Youth in Action, she came up to me and she said, I think you beat me.
Yeah.
But yeah, really without her, I wouldn't be able to do anything. So it's always about the support system and just who's going to be with you on your journey.
Yeah, well, that's very, very true. And one thing, we're getting ready to go to break here, but I just want to remind everybody that we've got Grow events, Grow by FarmHER for young women just like Serena. Tickets go on sale on our website, farmher.com. So check it out. Stick with us. We'll be right back for Shining Bright. Welcome back to Shining Bright by FarmHER. This has been a super fun show. We are at the Farm Progress Show, and I have never had such a steady stream of guests on our show. I'm used to having to talk so much more, but this has been really interesting. We have gone through Grain Bin Saftey. We just talked to a young woman who is doing great things, and I'm sure we'll hear more about her in the world. And now I am joined by Carrie. Carrie, what's your last name?
Phillips.
Carrie Phillips. I didn't write your last name down on my script here. You are from Farmers for Free Trade. So can you tell me what Farmers for Free Trade is?
Yeah, I'd love to. And thank you for having me today. So Farmers for Free Trade is a nonprofit bipartisan organization. And we're co-chaired by Senator Baucus from Montana, who is the former Senate Finance Committee Chairman, and Senator Luker from Indiana, who is the Senate Agriculture Committee Chairman. And it's just a couple years old, the organization. And when it was started by our founders, they did not know how important it would become. I think they had an idea of when trade sort of started becoming a bad word in campaigns, and they knew that farmers had a really positive story to tell about access to open markets, about free trade.
Yeah.
And so we have partnered with groups like the Farm Bureau and American Soybean Association and the corn growers and the wheat growers, a lot of the commodity groups. And we also, our members are ranchers and farmers, ag businesses, and we're traveling around to different farm shows, state fairs, and just trying to collect the stories, the impact stories of what's happening.
And you're doing cool things with that. So tell me a little bit about your role and what you do at events like this to collect those stories. I think it's super fun. I mean, what we do at the root of it is share stories with FarmHER. And so you're collecting all these amazing stories out here.
Yes, so I definitely have the best job because I get to be on the ground doing the grassroots work and talking to people. And so we have a booth set up. We have banners that people can come sign. They can sign up to be a member of Farmers for Free Trade and just talk to us about the issues that are important to them. And we can do a 15-second video, and anyone can go to our website, farmersforfreetrade.com, and we have it set up here at the Farm Progress Show, where you can do a 15-second video on our website. And when you put in your zip code, it's going to go to your congressional delegation. So we're making sure that the voices of these farmers and ranchers will be heard in Washington, D.C.
Yeah. And I have a woman that I have met in Montana, Michelle Erickson Jones.
Yes.
And I think she's been a part of this campaign for you guys, right?
Yes. And we have met some amazing women.
Yeah.
And it was funny that I saw her picture on your trailer here. And she's
That's
she's
right.
One of our,
She's pregnant in that picture on our trailer. That was a couple years ago.
Michelle. She has been an amazing voice on trade, on the importance of trade. Yeah, fourth generation farmer from Montana. And she came and testified before the House Ways and Means Committee, talking about how open markets are important to her farm, how we export so much of the things that we grow, and it's important to get access to those markets.
Yeah. I mean, farmers have enough going against them between weather and, all of the different things that are in flux all of the time, I feel like, in agriculture. And so having an organization like yours is important. So, what are some ways that you could tell women who might be listening to our show here about how they could get involved and be a voice for their farm? Because one of the things, I personally struggle with sometimes when I see these things is like, I don't know. I don't know if what I would say would be like bold enough or great enough, or would it make a difference, so you sometimes just don't say anything.
Right.
But what would you have to say to that?
I would say what we've seen, women tell the best stories. They really do. They can speak about the importance of agriculture to their communities, not just to them, to their families, and they can talk about just the broad impact, from their home out into the community. And we've found so many women that when we come face to face with them, maybe they're not going to come reach us in a different way on the website or another way.
Right.
But if we can get face to face with them at these grassroots events and listen to their stories and encourage them to get in touch with their elected officials, get their story out there, and we can help them by doing the videos or having them sign up and to help them get their voices heard. And I think one of the important things too for young women, if in college, if they would come to Washington, D.C., get an internship with your member of Congress. That's how I came right out of grad school, and our founder, an incredible woman, started as an intern with Senator Max Baucus, and worked and went through law school, was his trade counsel, worked with him for years and years. And she knew when she came to DC to be an intern that that's what she wanted to do, to help get that voice. She's a rancher of agriculture represented in DC. And I would really encourage anyone that's thinking about doing policy work, is interested in it at all, to come to DC, share your stories, and also instead of big life changes like that, just contact us also. Look at our website.
You don't always have to travel to DC and uproot your life.
Exactly. You want to stay where you are, that's fine too. So go to farmersforfreetrade.com, sign up, call us, send us a video of why trade matters to you, and then we'll make sure it gets to DC.
And just a little bit about you. What led you to this organization? I mean, are you from Iowa?
So I have deep roots in Iowa.
Okay.
But I live in Maryland.
Okay.
But I worked for Senator Grassley on the Senate Finance Committee for several years doing trade policy. And so I feel like I'm an honorary Iowan. And my family in Iowa City, my husband's family is from Eldon, Iowa. And they ended up moving to D.C. also because interested in policy, and his grandfather worked at USDA. So I spend a lot of time in Iowa and have over the years. But I've been doing trade policy for many, many years, and just am interested in making sure people know the importance of free trade for agriculture.
Yeah, well, and it takes people. I mean, you've had an amazing career, and then you find yourself in this organization where you're pushing something that's obviously near and dear to your heart.
Very, yes.
What is it that made this near and dear to your heart? What is it that drew you to Farmers for Free Trade?
So I've always been interested in trade policy, obviously, and in agriculture with the work that I've done, but also the founder of our organization, she was my mentor. 20 years ago, we met working in the Senate, and she is incredible. She always lifted me up, and I think it's so important when you have these women to look up to, and it was really because of her that I wanted to be interested. I was interested in trade policy, and she really took me under her wing, and for 20 years. So then when she started this organization and asked me if I would be a part of it, it's like a dream come true to get to meet with people, talk about issues that I care about, and work with someone that I respect so much.
Yeah,
Angela.
that sounds like a dream come true. You're right.
Yes.
So we have just about a minute left here. Can you tell me a story of somebody that maybe you've met already here at the Farm Progress Show that has shared a cool story with you?
Yeah, I've met so many interesting people that have, it's been great because they've wanted to get involved, and people will just, instead of just signing up, they'll put volunteer in big letters and say, if you need somebody that's on the ground. I met this great woman named Jessica in Northwest Iowa, who grows corn and soybeans, and said, I want to be involved. Here's my number. Let me volunteer. Let me be on the ground. And we love that. We want people all over the country that want to be involved and volunteer.
Yeah, and it matters. I mean, being out here amongst your people, amongst the people that you work so hard for, is an awesome thing. Well, thank you so much. This has been enjoyable to learn about Farmers for Free Trade and a little bit about you as well. So thanks for joining us, and thank you to all of you listening for joining us for Shining Bright by FarmHER. Come and join our FarmHER journey. Check out the events tab on our website to see where the Farm Herd will be next, from our Grow events for young women around the country to other events like the FFA National Convention or Commodity Classic. We'd love to see you there. So stay tuned. We've got just a little bit more coming up. Welcome back to Shining Bright by FarmHER. We are in the final stretch here, and we are out enjoying the beautiful sunshine and the beautiful Iowa weather. We get about 3 of these days a year that are, mid 70s, a slight breeze, and the sun is shining. But we're out here at the Farm Progress Show, and we have had a chance to talk to all sorts of amazing women who work in the ag industry, all different ages, all different backgrounds. And producer Tony over here pointed out that we may have just had our very first male participant on the FarmHER show, other than you, Tony, because every once in a while you do chime in from the background. But Jade from Nationwide was here talking about Grain Bin Saftey, which, Farm Safety Week is coming up here this fall. And I would encourage all of you to go sign. If your communities do not have one of those safety devices for grain bins, I would encourage all of you to go sign up for that and see about getting one for your community, because that could save lives. Obviously, he said it just saved a life 4 weeks ago in Pennsylvania. So what I want to share with you right now is we have been working really hard over the last year to film episodes around the country of FarmHER that airs on RFD TV. And on September 7th, right around the corner, we are getting ready to launch season 3. And pinch me right now, because that sounds completely crazy, that we have filmed 3 seasons of our television show. So season 1, we filmed 26 episodes, and that was absolutely amazing. 43 women. We crisscrossed the country. We went to Florida, we went to Texas. We spent a lot of time here in Iowa, which is my home. And then for season 2, we went down to 18 episodes. Actually, I think we ended up doing 20, but, and, you know, because it is so much work for this crew, I want to tell you a little bit behind the scenes. It is me, it is a producer, and then there's 2 videographers, and the other 3 people come from RFD, and we partner with them. They produce the TV show, and they do an amazing job at it. And, traveling the country and going to the farms is just the first step. And the next step is definitely how it gets edited and it gets put through this big process, and it comes to life on TV, and they do an amazing job there. But there's so much that goes into it, and we are super excited for season 3 to be launching again September 7th, right around the corner. And the very first episode of season 3 is a bucket list item for me, for sure. So we traveled to Boonville, Missouri, and we went to Warm Springs Ranch, which is where the Budweiser Clydesdales are raised. And they have a breeding program there. They have many horses that live there all the time. And then they work to raise the finest of Clydesdales, which make it to the Budweiser Clydesdale hitch teams around the country, which I'm sure many of you have seen at events no different than the Farm Progress Show or fairs. But so we traveled to Boonville, and we went to visit a woman named Amy Trout, who for, I think, 15 years or so has been on a hitch with Budweiser. She grew up on an acreage. She loved horses. Her dad had draft horses at an early age, so this has always been near and dear to her heart. And she found her way to Budweiser, and she has traveled the world. She tells us kind of behind the scenes, when you get on the Budweiser hitch team, you have to get a CDL. You have to be able to drive these horses around the country and take them from event to event. And you have to be able to train them. You have to be able to care for them. Like you are responsible for them. So they have this super cool program. And we saw some babies when we were there that had just been born, and then they kind of go through this process where then they move them out and they start looking at them and looking at their markings and seeing how big they're going to be and could they fit into the process. And then from there they narrow it down and they send the best ones off to Grant's farm, which is in St. Louis, and then they spend about a year there getting trained and learning all the manners. They're like teenagers that need to learn manners there. And then from there, they go on to New Jersey, where they actually learn how to be a part of the hitch. And I have always loved the Budweiser Clydesdales. Whenever you see them at an event, they're so iconic. I just stop and I get chills because they're just beautiful. They're so well trained. They're just amazing, iconic horses. And I've always thought, oh my gosh, that would be so cool to go behind the scenes. And our producer, RFD, actually set it up and made it happen. So that is season 3, episode 1 of FarmHER on RFD TV, and it is right around the corner. We've got some other cool things for you, of course. We're going to Maine. We go to Massachusetts. We take it down to Georgia. We go to a huge crawfish farm. We go to an ag high school in Philadelphia. We cover so many different things. So I want to encourage you all, Fridays and Sunday nights at 9:30 Eastern, you can watch FarmHER on RFD TV. Thanks for joining us for Shining Bright.
You've been listening to Shining Bright by FarmHER. Be sure to tune in every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern and Saturday at noon Eastern on SiriusXM's Rural Radio Channel 147 and the SiriusXM app. And now, go shine bright.